All right, Maurice. Now, you were the first UFC fighter to successfully defend a title belt for a specific weight class, the heavyweight division. And you got that title belt from Mark Coleman. Mark Coleman is now in the UFC Hall of Fame, and you are not. So, what is your opinion on the validity of the UFC Hall of Fame?
To be honest with you, I don't really care about it. It doesn't matter. Whatever the reason they gave Mark or anybody, who should be in there for sure, I would say, Boyce. He should be in there for sure because he was one of the beginners. Who else is in there?
Let's see. I'm having a brain fart here. Mark Coleman, Matt Hughes, I believe, is in there. Mask from Tap Out, and he's not even a fighter. Chuck Liddell is in there. Randy Couture is in there. I don't know if anybody else is.
Okay, so other names that I heard Chuck, I heard Matt Hughes.
Oh, and Ken Shamrock.
Ken Shamrock. Okay, so I would definitely agree with Chuck for he paid his dues in. He's done his work. Randy for sure. You know what? It doesn't really matter. Everybody who's in there, they should be in there. It's not my place to call. I don't know what the criteria is to say what a person belongs in there. So I'm not going to judge that. So if the criteria is what they want, whoever decides to make the UFC Hall of Fame guys, that's what it is. So obviously, there's guys. Frank should be in there. How about that? Frank should be in there. 5-time UFC champion. He should be in there. Why isn't he in there? I would say there's lots of guys who should be in there, but it's not my call. So I can't read into the minds of people who make the decision. Now, whether Mark deserves it or not, obviously that's what he does, and I'm glad for him. I don't really care. It's not my call, And maybe one day they might say, Maurice, you're gonna put you in. Personally, I don't really care anymore. What's important? What's important to me more than anything is respecting the people that I fight in front of. If they say that Maurice, you're a good fighter, you're great to watch, that in itself says a lot right there. And as far in my counterparts, people that my peers, if they say, we had some great fights, you did great for the sport. That in itself is enough gratification for me. I don't really necessarily need a Hall of Fame. I think my name will carry on for a long time, regardless of me being in the Hall of Fame or not. There's lots of sports like that, where guys who should be in there aren't in there. And I'm not saying I should be in there. I'm just saying that I don't know what the prerequisite is needed to be in there. And I'm going to say that the goals that get in there, good for them, and I'm glad for them. I hope that it's a good thing for them. But for me not being in there, it's okay. Life goes on, and my life is not based on the UFC or anybody else. My life is based on what I put out there, what I've done. No matter what, my name will carry on for generations to come, regardless if I'm in the Hall of Fame or not. I think I've contributed a lot to the sport, and the sport has given a lot back to me. And I'm talking to you guys, for example. So it's okay. And I'm not going to sit there and judge whoever call it is. I mean, like I said, if anybody should be in there before me, it should definitely be Frank. 5-time champion. Come on. 5-time, he's not even a Hall of Fame guy. That's a little ludicrous, if you ask me.
And you hit on a lot of stuff that I wanted to touch on just right there. And I don't think if you say that you feel that, and I'm not saying that you said this, but if you were to have said that, I don't think Mark Coleman should be in the Hall of Fame. I don't really think that's a knock on Mark. It's really just bringing up the questioning of what the actual criteria is, like you're saying. But other than that, talking about Frank, just by knowing Frank's relationship with Dana White, just recently, Dana did a couple interviews, like with Ariel Helwani of AOL Fan House, and he also did one with the Fight Magazine where he was pretty much just bashing Frank. At this point, Frank will never get in the Hall of Fame just because of his relationship with Dana White. Don't you think that that's I think it's kind of sad. Do you feel that that's, kind of lame that a personal grudge can get in the way of what you've accomplished in a sport?
Like I said, it doesn't matter what anybody says. The bottom line is this. Look, if Dana is the reason why a person gets in or not into the UFC or into the Hall of Fame, basically UFC Hall of Fame, I guess you can say, then that's what it is. Frank doesn't necessarily need to have that to equate to, to adequately say that he's a great fighter. His record shows what he's done. So ultimately, as long as it is the UFC's Hall of Fame, then he may never get there. But then who cares? What's it going to do for him? Is it make him any more money? No. Is it make him any more popular? No. Really, if you look at it, it doesn't really matter if he's in there or not. But if you're going to say, if you're going to be a legitimate company, you ain't got to like somebody to give him his props. They don't have to like Frank to give him his props. His props, for 1 minute they had Tito in there, and they took Tito out, and Tito's back in again. Whatever. Not the Hall of Fame, but as far as their ratings and all that stuff, it doesn't really matter. Ultimately, it's the fan base that makes our career what it's worth. I mean, the companies pay us money or whatever, and hopefully if you get a good relationship, great. If not, whatever. If it's just based on one person's like or dislike of a person, then you're gonna have that problem all through life and all kind of things in your life. And Frank, without a doubt, if anybody were to ask you who does Frank belong in the UFC in the Hall of Fame, I can guarantee you 100%. If not 99%, will say yes, he should be there. But if Dana White's some reason why it's not going to happen, then it ain't going to happen, and who cares? It's not going to stop living because of it, nor or am I or anybody else. It's just a recognition that one more recognition that not going to make his life any better or make his life any worse. Frank made a great legacy for himself. He did what nobody's done to this very day, and nobody in that division has done what Frank has done. And Frank, can walk out, he can walk anywhere and everybody can say Frank Shamrock is the UFC champion no matter what. It doesn't matter that Dana doesn't like him. Who cares? And Dana doesn't have to like him. And Dana doesn't like anybody. Who cares? Really, it's just that's what Dana wants to do. Then say out the. No big deal. It's not going to make anybody's life who doesn't, especially those who don't associate with Dana. So Dana and Frank don't associate, so who really cares? I mean, I don't have any problem with Dana that I know about. But, if he's keeping me out of the quote-unquote UFC Hall of Fame, fine. My life goes on. So does his life. He's not going to lose sleep over me. I'm not going to lose sleep over him.
To listen to the rest of the interview with Maurice Smith, go to www.joeshowradio.com.